English, the most spoken language in the world, with over 1 billion people speaking. Many of the songs and the games I enjoy are in English, so I decided I wanted to learn this language, but I had no idea what was coming. Everyone says that English is one of the easiest languages to learn, and compared to other languages like German, Japanese or Chinese, it's really easier, until you try to pronounce this word and fail miserably.
The.
What? In every language there's always something that doesn't make any sense. Plural is something that's both simple and complicated at the same time. We learned that to make a non-plural, you just add an S, so the plural of cat is cats. But then, there are other rules as well. If the word ends with one of these letters, you have to add ES at the end. Alright, it takes some time to memorize, but that's fine, it's too simple. Then it gets a bit harder. If the word ends in I and the letter before it's a consonant, you turn the I to EAS, IS. How the pronunciation is it? If it's vowel, you just add an S. Why couldn't it always just be adding an S at the end? And then there's another rule. If the word ends in F or F, you add VAS, but there are exceptions. Some words just get the same S from before. You might say, okay lizards, it can be a bit of trick to remember of this, but it's not that hard. I agree, it's really not that hard to memorize all these rules. It just takes a little time, until we get to the regular nouns. You know I'll choose rules you worked so hard to learn? Well, throw them out in the trash because none of them apply to these guys. They're like anomalies that don't follow any pattern, and you're just forced to memorize them because they don't make sense. Why the plural of mouse is not mouses? Why is it mice? What the heck is mice? How did this become that? Pronunciation is a fundamental part of learning, so it's important to know how to pronounce words correctly. For me, as a Portuguese speaker, some pronunciations are more difficult because I'm not used to their sounds. Like this guy. One pronunciation that left me very confused when I was learning was the GH. Sometimes it sounds like an F at the end, like enough, love, or cough. But then you get a word like this.
Though.
And let's not even talk about that word. Okay, that's simple, it's like a word coffee, so the pronunciation's hiccup, right? Nice try, buddy, but the right pronunciation is hiccup. Which goes from the F sound to a P. Where did the P even come from? English has this habit of pronouncing or not pronouncing certain letters in the word. For example, if a word starts with K, you usually don't pronounce it. The K is silent. Okay, that happens in Portuguese too, but then they come up with something like this. Seriously, I still have trouble pronouncing this word. Spelling and pronunciation have nothing to do with each other. Another common word that doesn't make any sense is night. Besides the silent K, as I mentioned before, the GH here just disappears because the ending has a T sound. Why couldn't just be spelled night then? But nothing, I repeat, nothing compares to this word. How do you even read this? Videos? Vicos? Nope, it's videos. I give up to understand. Anyway, every language has a lot of things that don't really make sense. But despite of this, I still love English and keep studying, even though I often feel a bit lost. So if you ever had a similar experience with English or other language, share it below. That's it everyone, take care and bye.